All right, hi guys. So today we are going to look at painting level 4. So painting 4, if you have one of these little booklets, go ahead and circle painting, write the number 4. If you just have your sketchbook, you're going to write painting L4 on the top. Then you're going to then you're going to watch the video and go ahead, this video, and go ahead and do 2 sketches. Sketch 1 and sketch 2 are right here, and this is what I did. And I'm gonna go ahead and draw it out on my paper. Now, as you can see here, I drew it out on my paper. Sorry about that. And your tools, the tools that you're going to need are a piece of watercolor paper, a medium brush, a small brush, a large brush, your water dish. You will also need, if you're in middle school, you will use the liquid watercolors. You're going to need this bluey purple color. You will need a yellow, which looks orange, but it's actually yellow. You will need your red. And you will need this greeny blue color. So you need these 2 different color blues to mix the colors. And your goals for this one are simple. You're also going to need a palette so you can mix your colors. So the goals are you can mix secondary colors without help, meaning that you take your 3 primary colors and mix the secondary colors with it. So blue and red, to mix blue and red to make purple, you're going to use this purpley blue color and the red. These 2 right here. To mix yellow, you're going to use this green, not yellow, orange. You're going to use this you're going to use this red color and this yellow color, which it looks orange, but it really is yellow when you put it on paper by itself. Yellow, okay. And to mix green, you're going to use this with this. Okay, the greener blue with this orangey yellow color. You're going to wait for the paint to dry completely so that your colors don't bleed, and then you're going to add details once the paint is dry. All right, the other tools that you're going to use are oil pastels. So let me go get those real quick. Okay, your oil pastels are what you're going to use to resist paint. And so obviously you're going to need to put a thick layer, and I will demonstrate that for you here in just a second. So here is my watercolor paper and my final drawing, but I just want to demonstrate how you guys are going to use these oil pastels to resist color. Now let's just look at painting a little area right here with any color. Remember, with watercolor, you need to work from light to dark. So I'm going to go ahead and work from light to dark. I have my yellow. I'm going to throw on this yellow right here. Okay, now I'm going to just let that dry. And then we're going to move on to another color. But before I do that, I want to show you. If I want this area right here in my, now, do you see how it got muddy right there? There's lots of different colors on this watercolor. We don't want that. And the best way to do it is just to get a paper towel from by the sink and just rub it off. And you can rub off so it doesn't cause it mud. But this is my sketchbook, so it's fine for demonstration purposes. So I have a good layer of oil pastel right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my medium-sized brush, and I want this a really light blue. Now remember that the more water you use with watercolor, the lighter it is. You don't need white. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to move it right in there, and do you see how it resisted? It didn't go over this. And so once it dries, You might have a few little dots there, but that's okay. All right, and you can do the same thing over here. This piece right here, now that it's wet, or now that it's pretty dry, I'm just gonna do a couple little marks right here. This is just an experiment. And then I'm gonna come over on top of this yellow and on top of these greens with this just a little bit of red. Okay, I wish you can, let me see if you can see me do this here. Do you see how I'm just pulling a little bit of color from there? And then I'm gonna come over the top of this. All right, maybe a little bit more color. Okay, do you see how that oil pastel is completely not taking the color on at all? And that's how you do that. So when you get to your final piece and you have it all sketched out, remember that you're gonna plan how you're going to lay down what. Light colors need to go first. So think about that when you're drawing your sketch. Then you're gonna also plan how you're gonna do your oil pastels. Where are you gonna put these on your painting? And what do you not want to have with paint on it? So you take this oil pastel right here, take a paper towel, or in this case I have just one of these rags, and that's fine too. If it's sitting by the sink and it's dry, it needs to be dry, and you're just gonna wipe it off. That way you're gonna get pure color rather than that muddy mess that I showed you earlier. So now I have it all wiped off, and I'm gonna go ahead and test it and make sure. Yep, there you go. So I'll come over here, and I'm gonna decide, I definitely want light shining off of this in specific places. So I'm gonna come in here and make that happen. And then when I paint, it's gonna resist those little tiny places. Okay, this takes time, take your time. This is gonna be a long project. Think it out really good. Do some test swatches on in your sketchbook. Make sure that you're confident in using these tools before you move forward and make a mistake, right? So, okay. And that's how I'm gonna do it. So I'm just gonna get started. And remember that your goal, you need to mix your secondary colors, right? So this painting is gonna be pretty much just a secondary color thing, you know, and variations of primary and secondary colors. You're not gonna want to put any other colors in with it. Well, I mean, you can, but keep in mind that you do have to mix an orange, and you have to mix a green, and you have to mix a purple, and you're only using these colors on your palette, and that's all you got. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix up a purple. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. So I took my medium-sized brush, and I got a little bit out here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pull this red in, and I'm gonna mix these together. And you know, it's gonna be how much purple you want it to be purple, depending on what colors you wanna look. And if you look, I'm just grabbing a teeny bit at a time. I don't need a whole lot of paint. One drop from the droppers, that's it. Okay, and then I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna pull it down. Now do you see where I put my pastel line? That's perfect. Get my paper a little bit wet, and I'm gonna work on wet on wet technique here. I'm gonna get this area just a little damp, dip in my brush a little bit, and come in here and let that watercolor spread. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and keep going and doing my whole watercolor painting. So you guys have fun with this, and remember, watercolor is just a relaxed form of media. So you don't want to try to get too detailed or too in-depth into it. Something really free-flowing and relaxing to look at that doesn't really have a whole lot of detail or shape is a perfect idea for what watercolor should be.